Welcome back, cereal eaters, to another edition of What's in the Box. So what have we got this time? Well, this is a real literal interpretation of the word what's in the box, because actually it's about the cereal in the box as opposed to the gifts. And I'm focusing on Choco Puffs and all the different variations that they've tried and tested, but for one reason or another didn't quite take off. Let's take a look.
So I thought it might be quite interesting to do a feature on all the sort of short-lived cereals that Honey Monster had actually tried to introduce, but clearly didn't take off because they didn't stay around for very long. So this was one of the very first ones, which was called HMs, and I'll feature the adverts for a number of these at the very end, so stay tuned for those, because some of them are really good. So this was HMs, obviously standing for Honey Monsters, and there are these churned out bits of corns with either H and M written on it. And then on the back, you literally just had this picture of Honey Monster and just saying they're definitely not, they're definitely worth getting out of bed for. Now, I mean, these didn't last very long at all, so it's quite an unusual offer. But a few years later, this was in about 2007, they introduced Honey Monster or Honey Waffles. So again, you've got these sort of whole grain pieces of cereal which they've sort of manufactured and churned out, but on the back they've obviously tied it in with one of the other offers that was going at the time, which was the hive action, and trying to encourage lots of sort of bees around the world and honey and all that sort of stuff. So nice link in there. Now that didn't particularly go well, I don't think, because they ended up rebranding the sort of whole image of these honey waffles. So they've obviously given Honey Monster a much bigger profile. This came out a year later, and this time you've actually got one of these sort of Honey Monster puzzles on the back. So again, these are very similar to the limited edition Choco Puffs that I've also featured in terms of sort of quiz activities and things like that to do over breakfast. Anyway, I think it was probably only in that year that they sort of disappeared off the shelf, because as I mentioned earlier, they weren't around for long. However, they did come out with a variation, which was Choco Waffles. So this came out actually in 2012. So they've obviously used the same manufacturing molds to actually generate these things. But actually in this case they've made them all chocolatey. So this is presumably before the sugar content police came along and sort of axed all of that. And again, you've just got a couple of activities on the back here. It's fairly simplistic, that one. So interesting to see, as I mentioned, the big time gap between the two cereals there. But sticking with the chocolate theme, I have featured these on a separate What's in the Box as well, because Choco Puffs were used to promote some spoon straws, but this was the very first issue of the actual cereal itself. So again, these are the puffs of corn which they've coated with chocolate, and again on the back they're featuring one of these sort of activities, which also appeared on the Choco Puffs as well. So again, this was very short-lived. I only remember seeing this around for probably about 12 months. Mention another one here as well. You've got Honey Monster multi-grain Honeycomb. So these are slightly different molds. These are sort of wheels as opposed to the waffles. So this was about 2015 this came out. And again, and this is really just a general bit of blurb about how they actually make and coat these Honey Monster combs. Now I showed that one because obviously it was fairly similar to the waffles, but then you ended up with these which were totally different. So Honey Monster Honey Wows. So I really don't know, I can't really remember much about what these were like. They look like I think they're just sort of circles. But on the back you've got this Get Wow Fit with Honey Monster. But I really don't remember very much about these ones. I remember eating them and I don't think they were particularly great. They, interestingly enough, did come out with a smaller packet of these sort of 12 months on. So this was in about 2014, where they're obviously saying, try me, and I presume just seeing if there was an appetite out there for people to actually have these. I mean, this was the very small 200-gram box, exactly the same on the back. But again, I think those have disappeared off our shelves now, so shows what a success they were. At the same time as the Honey Wows came out, they also introduced Choco Wows. So no different other than the fact that it's obviously got chocolate on it, and you've still got that monster wow fit on the back. So that was a very, very quick tour of some of the special Honey Monster related cereals that they've tried to introduce, but for one reason or another have never really taken off. So now check out the adverts if you're interested.
This morning, Granny's going to give the Honey Monster a surprise. New HMs are toasted in honey and sugar to make them a little more crunchy.
Crunchy sugared honey. Yummy.
New HMs, careful, they're crunchy.
I have to go to school now. Promise me you'll stay here until I get back, okay?
Okay, Mommy. Honey!
Honey waffles are delicious whole grain squares drenched in honey.
Rusty, what have you done?
Don't tell him about the honey, Mommy.
Treat yourself to new crispy, crunchy, chocolatey Choco Puffs. Great news! Monster chocolate taste.
If you're interested in this and other cereal offers, then please subscribe to this channel, like and share the clips, or visit my website cerealoffers.com, click on Quaker and then Varieties.